Okay. Okay, so we're continuing the Maamar. I'm not sure how much time we have. It's Erev Shabbos over here in Yerushalayim. So we're starting the Maamar, we're continuing the Maamar of L'chomer Libi, and we did a review midway and bringing up here the original content. So we're holding Sif Tes. So in just a small review of Sif Zayin and Ches, in Sif Zayin and Ches, the Rebbe says that the L'chomer Libi, that when we say L'chomer Libi again, there's two Purushim. There's L'chomer Libi is, what's it mean, L'chomer Libi? So L'chomer Libi is that my heart talks, B'shlichus, b'shvilcha, on behalf of Hashem, it has a message, and the message is, Bakshu Panai, seek out the innermost depth of the Eibishter, and we respond to our heart, which is, we're Espenecha Vayavakish, and we said that the idea is to find the pnimis of Hashem. It's not the pnimis of Shem Havaya, of the name of Hashem, but the pnimis behind the name, which is Asmas Mahusa in Saif Baruch Hu, the essence of God. And we do it, the Libi is there's two levels of the heart. There's what's called the Ha'aris Nekudas Alev, the manifestation of the essence of the heart, and the Nekudas Alev itself. And those going together with the two levels of L'chomer Libi, which is, like we said before, as a message from Hashem, or a on your behalf, or b'mkaimcha. Meaning b'mkaimcha means in place of Hashem. We need to say that the actual experience, the revelation of the essence of the heart is Bakshupane, is that you're finding the essence within yourself. And that is when you reveal not the ha'ara, the ray of the Nekudas Alev, but the Nekudas Alev itself. And in Sif Ches, we learned, it says, so like this, when we know that the elevation, and I said, we'll go back a Sif a second. It says, what the soul is trying to accomplish in what the elevation it achieves in its accomplishing its mission in this world is in two ideas, which is is the idea that although now you're restrained and you're together with your bodily restrictions, and your nefesh hamas, the wants of your animal soul, and notwithstanding you're connected to Hashem, you're misgalet toikif iskashu shalom kadosh baruch Hu. So the accomplishment is the aliyah that the neshama gets is in the challenge of still being connected, is that brings its elevation. Shagam ha'helam v'hesed l'guf nefesh hamas and yichel. That the concealments, needs, and wants of the body and the animal soul don't lessen and don't interfere at all with your connection to Hashem. That's one. And another idea of an aliyah is you're accomplishing something. Not so much that you're revealing the essence within yourself, which is the atzmis nekudas alev, connecting to your etzem, to the panei, to the most inner self, to the most inner essence of God, and that's the accomplishment of the soul. But there's no chiddush there. What does it mean? There's no chiddush? Because you're always connected. You were connected before you came down this world. We didn't know how strong that connection is until you came down to this world, and you're able to withstand the experience of being part of a body and an animal soul. So it just strengthens the understanding and the realization of the connection that was. But the second level is something different. That through your avodah, that's im halev, not betoch halev, you're using the heart as a tool, and that's the shlichus that Hashem says, l'chomer libi, you have something to do, you have a job. And what's the job? Something to make a chiddush. What's a chiddush? Something unique, something that wasn't the way it was before. And what's that? That you transform your guf, your body, and your animal soul. And at that moment, you're not revealing. It's a chiddush, you're changing. That's greater when you reveal the essence of the soul as is inside you. It's greater to accomplish the transformation of the body and the animal soul than it is to reveal the essence inside you and to show that you're connected, notwithstanding of the challenge. Let's note, and how do you accomplish to refine and elevate? Is you have to bring the chol levavcha, loving Hashem with your entire heart, meaning also through the heart and through the yira, you're able to reveal that the nefesh hamas also loves Hashem, and it has the effect of chitzaynis. Yeshleim sheyesh yisrin v'ashlichus ha'aretz nekudas halev, the chitzonius halev al avodah l'gilui nekudas yadus. And here he says the kicker. The kicker is that when you want to measure not personal level of achievement, or not achievement of spirituality or connection, but of what you've accomplished, is you have to look at where from Hashem's perspective of why you came down to this world. You could say, well, I came down to this world to reveal that I could withstand this situation and still be the same me. I don't allow for the interference of the body or the animal soul. You haven't changed anything. You just showed how strong you are. But if you want to accomplish something, and that's where the real chiddush is, and that's where the real tainik, the pleasure is what you could accomplish. Although you're not accomplishing it with the actual essence of the soul, you're using the essence of the soul, so to say, as a tool to change over the external of the soul that has other wants and to make those wants in line with the wants of Hashem. As far as the bigger picture goes, that's more of an accomplishment than to reveal the essence of who you are within yourself. All right, now this is we're holding Siftes. This is what it means. Maamar, that the Maamar says that to understand this, he gives an example, and the Friedrich Rebbe does it at length. That person in his boninus. So from the Maamar, it's mashma that mipsari achselika is part of the conversation, so to say, that the person has with themselves in order to awaken and the hisbaininus, and to have a response to this baininus as well, which is going to be that you carve through, so to say, plow through your heart to make a receptacle. Oh, that's the avodah. And you're using the conversation of understanding godliness through understanding yourself. So now the Rebbe is going to explain how, in the example itself, it's an insight of not just of as from an avodah point of view, but also as a perspective of knowing what is the importance of that avodah. So he says, this is what the Maamar says, that person analyzes themselves, their flesh, and from their flesh they can understand echse, they could see godliness. So he says, from your flesh. The best way is not to analyze the spirit that's inside you, but to see the physicality, to see godliness, mukhshis, actually clear. And what could you see physically is your body. And why does he mention that? What's the real reason you come down to this world? It's not so much important. That's not why Hashem created the world, really. You can't say that's the main reason he created the world, which is incredible what the Rebbe is saying here. That although what's being revealed is more the atzmis of the person, but that's not what motivated Hashem, that the atzmis should be revealed even though you're in the body, like he says, Shinyani haneshama begile, that you could reveal your soul, even milveshes beguf, as long as even while it's enclosed in the body. That's not the ikr. That's not why the world is created. The world is created shahaguf yiralikas. That the avodah is that your body itself sees godliness. Not that it's no longer a distraction to godliness. Lahayer, Rebbe points out. Sheish oid pish b'misari achselikai. Okay, I'm going to try to get this right, because when you listen to the audio of the Rebbe saying the Fabrengen, these are parts that are in the beginning. They really kind of rework this Maamar, again, a very difficult Maamar. So, but we're up to the challenge here. So it says like this: there's another explanation that you could say, from my flesh I see God. Within the flesh, not that so much that the body sees God, but you see godliness within the body. And he explains, this it says, you have to kind of, I believe, shirin, not salting, but kind of breaking apart the flesh, and then you'll see godliness there. Kind of reveal, take away the things that are concealing, that are giving you the impression that you're just seeing flesh. But if you kind of go dig deeper within the flesh itself, the idea is to see godliness in the flesh. You see that there's godliness, the flesh doesn't have an existence on its own. And he explains even more. The Rebbe Rashab, he says, you look at the person, that the body, say, what's the body? The body is the only creation of Hashem that came out separate. Every other creation was created body and soul. the animal kingdom, the fish kingdom, the sea kingdom, the bird kingdom, they all came out of body and soul. The only part of the only creation that came separate, body and soul, was the human. Adam was created first as a goylem, and then vayipach ba'apav nishmas chaim. God breathed in life, breathed in godliness into this body. It's the opinion the Rebbe brings out. I think the goylem, the lifeless form of Adam, was there for a few hours. It wasn't just a few minutes, if I remember correctly. So here the Rebbe says, the Rebbe Rashab says, a person may say about my body, what's my body? It's just a goylem. It's like a lifeless glump of flesh and blood. So the Rebbe said, don't just look at it as a goylem. Why? Because their goylem at mahavik v'natzim saying tzarich baruch hu. It didn't just happen. It's just not a goylem that you say, what's the body? This body was created by the essence of God. Only Hashem could create the body. So then you look at the body, respect the body, know that this body itself was created by Atzmus and Muz. So here it's understandable that, because it's, again, if you listen to the audio, it seems like the Rebbe is quoting the Alter Rebbe and the Rebbe Rashab as part of, again, it's a Mugidik Maamar. So this is the Maamar that the Rebbe reviewed and edited himself. So, but in the actual talking, it's mashma that the example the Rebbe gives from the Alter Rebbe and the Rebbe Rashab is to emphasize the idea of the flesh as opposed to the neshama, where you ask the question, why do we look at the body, not the neshama? But here he's saying it that why, even in the body itself, we're not looking at the godliness in the body, or that the fact, like the Rebbe Rashab says, that this body was created by Atzmus Mezhuz. So he says, so the idea that you could see godliness in the body is a big idea. Specifically, based on what the Rebbe Rashab says, it's not just anything that created. It wasn't like there was some sort of force that created the body. Atzmus, the essence of a God, created the body, which means there's Atzmus, there's the essence in the body. Who? Because at the end of the day, when you're seeing the godliness in the body, you're seeing, so to say, like the neshama, the spirituality in the body. But it's not enough. That's still not enough. Again, it's weird. In the edited version of the Maamar, this is emphasized, at least the way I understood it when I listened to the Maamar many times in the recording. The tachas hakavon the yeridas haneshama lamatu shaguf yiralikus. It's not so much that you find the godliness, so to say, like you're taking apart the physical flesh and seeing the godliness behind the body, but with the body itself should see godliness. That your flesh should see godliness, because that's the transformation. That's the chidush. It says, it's known. And again, the idea of coming down to this world is not just a question of what you've accomplished, but also the neshama itself has to have an elevation. There's no return on investment if you get back the exact amount of effort to return the body, or the soul the way it came down. That's not a return. So the neshama gets an aliyah by accomplishing its avodah in this world. Here the Rebbe saying is another chiddush. The chiddush is about elikus. Because again, we said before that we have to look at everything. The chomer libi bakshapane. The chomer libi bakshapane is not just that God's talking, so to say, with inspiring that the heart is coming on behalf of Hashem, saying, I have a mission to do. Bakshapane, seek out the essence of Hashem. And Hashem, so to say, is passive in this experience. And he just wants to see what we're going to do. Here he says there's a chiddush that even there's an elevation in elikus. Elikus gets an elevation when we actualize our avodah. It's a huge idea, right? So Rebbe's like this: you need to do it. Just like we said before in Sif Test and Ches, that the soul gets an elevation by coming down to this world and fulfilling its mission, whether it's to reveal its ability to be the same, to be non-disconnected because of the body, or to transform the body. When God, sort of say, contracts himself, there's a tzimtzum. Elikim Achayim, like we said. There's Memalik Olam. So but Hashem brings all that into the world to create entities that feel separate from Hashem. The Hachis is an Ephraim, to create things. Ephraim are things that are created, to give life to things that are created. And there's a Koyach Eliki in everything, a godly strength in that. That there's an Aliyah, not just It's not to say God is investing that we should only get an aliyah. There's a yerida tzarech aliyah and alikus. Alikus has an aliyah. Apiz yesh lema. Shaydei shem havai yored mislavish b'shem alikim. Like we said, there's a process. The shem havai, which is Saiv, goes into alikim and gives the power that alikim should be able to create separation. By accomplishing, and the whole accomplishment of creation, by creation being a success, there's an elevation in Havaya. Havaya, again, because every Yerida has to have a Tzarech Aliyah, not just the Neshama, but also an Elikus. L'mali yosim k'moishu hu b'sharshay, v'oi are inside Shlemayim Havaya. It's even greater for Havaya when it accomplishes it through enclothing itself in Elikim and taking that risk, so to say. The way it is at its root before, Bar Insaif in the infinite light, Shlemayim Havaya before we became a creator. Like we said before, there's the Shem Havaya. That's beyond, so to say, there's the essence of Shem Havaya. And then there's the Shem Havaya, the way it goes out to give chayes to the Olamus. And what's the Aliyah? It's the Chiddush in Brias Olamus. In what we do in Brias Olamus, in creation. That we can reveal godliness. Godliness is not restricted to spiritual entities. Godliness can be revealed in the physical. When we see Hashgacha Pratis in every part of creation, it's penetrating creation within the system of creation. You see actual godliness in the world. You can actually clearly, and there's other, to go deeper, I mean, I'm going to put my own words over here, but the Rebbe goes about the different levels of Hashgacha Pratis is not just the miracles that we see in our life, but also the way within Teva we see the miracles. Like the Rebbe always talks about the three madregas, the three levels of nisim, of miracles, but it's totally breaking the system, or it's within the system, but you see that it's a miracle, or you don't even see that it's a miracle. That these are all ways of elevation in Elikus, because Elikus is changing the world within the limitations. And that's the Chiddush. The Yeshtem in Yanim Elikus K'mei Hashgacha Pratis Shem Gilim Mamish Ad She'ef Shel Yiras Muchli, she can see godliness clearly. Yeshleim and Zeh Mashakasi B'Maimar Zeh She'Ri'iyah B'Muchchis B'Seachsis Laguf Hu Heim B'Negel Adam Haroya V'Heim B'Negel David Hanira. That the elevation that happens when a person, the elevations in the person who could see godliness in the physical body, and in the body is given as an example to godliness. Shayishrim B'Pnimis HaShaychas L'Chitzaynis B'Idasa B'Chitzaynis Hu Hein B'Negela Adam Shaguf Royalikus Hein B'Negela Or Shalamayla Shagili Shalai Yibayel Mazagashmi. Because this idea that we said, that Pnimis, like the Pnimis Halev that goes into Chitzaynis, to transform Chitzaynis, is for the person that the person now could see, that the guf itself sees godliness. And the or that's able to penetrate, that the body is now a body that could see godliness and can give off a vibe of godliness. And this is an elevation for Elikus. I believe we have the ability to finish the Maamar here. Let's try. When it comes to person's service of God, when the person takes the highest point of themselves, which is their intellect, and naturally the intellect wants to go upwards, and it goes downwards to affect in the midos behamidos, which is lower than the intellect, the teva hamidis, who you read the lamata, the midos want to be effective, they're going downwards, they don't want to be refined. So the same thing, every time you go to make a change, the elevation though the natural want, so to say, or reaction of the mind is to disconnect. But when it goes to actually penetrate, to change how you feel, not just to be an intellectual idea, it brings an elevation to the moich, to the mind. The mind is being effective now. It's not just an idea. That idea is penetrating the midos, the wants and the desires of a person, the reaction, the emotional reaction of the person. Again, it's not just that you could show that my heart could also have an intellect. It's not just that the heart, so to say, agrees with what the mind understands, but the mind, your midah should be nis'ayra, should be awakened. The mind only has so much spilus, almost has so much energy. The midas is so much more energetic. When you make the midas to be responsive, not just to the limit of the mind, but now the midas take over, and they're much stronger than the mind. That's a greater effect of the mind than just that the mind could also, so to say, the heart agrees with the mind. But when you oyer the midas, you awaken it, they become alive. And this is what he says in the Maamar in a small piece before, in the beginning. That's not enough that we have this boin in us, be contemplated by God. But in order for the midas to be misayer, to awaken, you have to work the heart to make the heart the receptacle, like we said, the miriris, the bitterness that's plowing through the heart. Again, it's not about that you're affecting, that the moyach could be still, that the intellectual idea is still true, even if it goes into the heart. But now the heart responds to it. So too, like the neshama changes the body and the nefesh of hamas. The change, the chiddush is what we're trying to accomplish over here. This brings us to the month of El, the king in the field. That Gam Shizui, okay, now he's going to bring the same thing over here. That the aliyah, the elevation that the king has by being in the field is not just that he's in the field and he's still the king. The effect the king has when he's in the field. There's a descent. The king has to go into the field. It's a descent. He has to put on regular clothes, dirty shoes. He has to get muddy. And when he's in his palace, which is Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, like we said, to be when he's in the palace, Machusai of the king. Well, Bekaser Machas, there he has his crown. Vushi Machas, his garb, the king's clothing. Mashain can be Besada. There's no throne, there's no crown, there's no king's clothes. And nevertheless, that's the aliyah, the elevation that the king has by going in the field. And he's say it's going to be in two levels. That's the chiddush that you could do. If he remains in the palace, he's not going to be reaching the people that are out in the field. The way to get the people in the field that they should come greet you, he has to get into mundane clothing, get into his dirty shoes, and go meet them in the field. He read the Legabi. At the end of the day, it's a descent for the king to be in the field versus to be in his palace. It's not enough that the king meets you in the field. But because it's a descent, there has to be an aliyah, and the aliyah is that afterwards the people get affected and they follow the king into the palace. Like it says, Elul is a beginning, is to prepare us for Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Now we come back to say, this is what it means, that my heart says, seek out the innermost depth. When we're saying lecha, on behalf of you, God, my heart comes to me and says, as a messenger, is lahashlim Chinese Baruch. It's trying to complete something, to accomplish. La'asis is amata dir lichsparach. Transform your space in this world, starting with yourself, with your body and your nefesh bahamas and your place of influence. But it's not enough just to transform the space. But the idea is to transform the space that the space doesn't want to be there anymore. So here we have, now he goes to the other side, the virtue of revealing the essence of the heart, not just the shlichus. Sometimes a person gets caught up in the mission. Says, yes, the mission is where the tachlis is, but where to really actualize that mission is when afterwards you reveal actually the essence of the heart of the Jew. That it's no longer that you transformed it, you elevated from iskafia to zhach, from restraining the body to totally transforming, to making that the body is a person that's now a person that belongs in the palace. Mamshech by Maamar, the Rebbe continues, Maamar, to enter the Maamar, Shayidei, he's oiderus nekudas alev, and a person awakens that the heart's now alive. Now the heart of the Kabbalah Ashpa, now the person becomes a clean vessel, a pure vessel to receive the blessings of Kol Hashanah of the coming year. Yeshleimer, the Rebbe says, making ourselves a receptacle for the blessing of the coming years. We have two ideas. We have the idea of the heart coming on a messenger from Hashem to give us this blessing for the new year, and in the place of Hashem. If the flow coming down to the world isn't through the chain of creation, at the end of the day, there's a question: is he or she worthy of this judgment, a positive judgment? And there's the voices that say, sorry, this person doesn't deserve to have the bracha of gashmis or ruchnius, of spiritual or physical. Even if it's coming from Shem Havaya, which is higher than Elikim, higher than limitations, and like we said, at the end of the day it says, the angels called the Bnei Elikim come to, and they get judged by Havai, even though Havai is the name of Rachamim, compassion, and Tiferes. But nevertheless, it's the creation, and creation has a purpose, and the purpose has to be met. And if it's not met, there's Ketragim, there's voices of that say no. So that's when it comes to this change in creation. But how do we get that there should be an abundance of bracha, blessing, without any limitations? When you reveal the essence of the heart, which is connected to the essence of God, then we're talking about Lifnei Havaya, or Bakshu Pane, the pnimis of Havaya. So yes, there's a kind of, you're out of the system. But to get that really flow, unconditional connection to Hashem is when you reveal your unconditional connection to Hashem. There's no, the children of God, of Elikim, can't give any kitragim. The angels can't give any voices of negativity. Like it says in Sivav, when it comes to Panai, there's no Elikim Acherim, there's no other gods, there's no other voices. When you get to the pnimis of Hashem, and Hashem wants to connect, when you connect to the pnimis of Hashem, then there's no kitragim, there's no obstacles. Yisrael says even more than that. Not just the voices of negative of the enemies of the Jews, but even the holy restrictions. When you get from Pnei Havaya, when you get from the Panecha, when you get from Atzmus Mahus, there's a total abundance of blessing. And therefore it could come down also in physicality. Because it's not limited to only be spiritual. And even more so. We said also you made yourself a receptacle by working on yourself and making your lave an open heart. Like we said before, when you went out to fight the world, and you took the heart to transform the world, you see that there's a mile here. Otherwise, why would you bother engaging in the world? And therefore, the Hashem blesses you in return for that by giving you a blessing in also Gashmis. And the idea is that the Jewish people are the ones that make this resting place. The Rebbe finishes off the Maamar. That in Elul there's two ideas. One is that you're in the field, and then the idea is that you should be able to leave the field to go to the palace. Also in the flow of bracha from Elul, there's two ideas. Tuv, not toiv. Above any kind of limitations, blessings. Not just in a way that it's abundance, but it has to come down in Gashmis, in a way that we could see, and we have to be tangible. We see the bracha. In Yonim Gashmim, the Shana Toiv Mesukah, we should all be blessed. The good, sweet year, with all the blessings we need for our children, or to have children, or for healthy children. Chai, with our own health and the health of those who are important to us and those that matter to us, and the Klal Yisrael. In an actual way, not in any kind of shetlach and any kind of spiritual. And all of them should be in a way of revicha and abundance. So Baruch Hashem, we were zeicha to finish the Maamar before Slichas. Thank you for those who joined. And as Hashem, we should have all the brachas and all the avodas that we had in this Maamar. Thank you very much. A good Shabbos and a happy Shabbos of Simcha of Kisavik. Take care.